Welcome into the 92nd episode of the Sabremetrix podcast. My name is Bill. Alongside me, as always, is Walt. Walt, how you doing today, man?
Oh, doing pretty good, especially after that huge Sabres win against the Red Wings. Feels like they're right back into things.
So our last episode was right after Josh Doan had a really good game, and it was episode 91. And it's only fitting that episode 92 is after Colton Ellis made his NHL debut and had a really good game, and especially a really good stop against Alex DeBrincat. We are recording this Thursday evening. It's coming out Friday morning. So technically, when you're hearing this tonight, the Sabres play the Maple Leafs. But let's at least go over that Red Wings game a little bit. Walt, what did you see from Colton Ellis that you so desperately wanted to see because you have been a Colton Ellis truther since the beginning?
I just thought he had, a very Colton Ellis game. I mean, he made some really fun saves. He seemed confident. Overall, he had a great performance. I mean, Sabres gave up a ton of shots in the slot that game and in dangerous areas. And, he stood tall in a lot of them, and he really set up the Sabres to win that game. So, I don't think you could ask more of him from his first NHL start. So I think that's just really cool to see for him. And, it's cool to see like they kept panning to his family and stuff. And even the post game interview, it's cool to see like how much that meant to him. Like 25 years old, making your NHL debut. He was a relatively high draft pick for a goalie too. So just a long road there, but it's cool to see him finally make it. And, he really showed out on that first NHL start.
Definitely. And it seems for goalies like a 25 doesn't seem too old to make your NHL debut. Now, if you're a skater, it's definitely something a little bit different. But for a goaltender, it seems he's got a lot of experience in pro hockey already under his belt. And it kind of showed he didn't look too out of place out there. He was even kind of moving the puck pretty well. And I thought he had a really good game. So, like you said, it was really awesome to see that his family was there to see it and enjoying, obviously super nervous, but no better way than to win 4-2 against Detroit in a pretty good game. Before we get to any other players or anything else about that game, what do you make of Colton Ellis? If he has a really good game, you would assume this weekend in the back-to-back with Toronto, I would assume Colton Ellis is going to play one of those games. What happens if he plays really well again? What do they do? Do they roll with 3 goaltenders, or, does UPL maybe end up going somewhere, or do they try to maybe find a trade for someone else? Like, what do you do? Do you roll with 3 goaltenders? Because Lindy has already said that's not his preferred method. So what do you do?
I mean, I feel like Lindy has to do it at this point, especially with, Zucker going down with an injury. Like, who knows how long he's out with that for. So I just don't think, at this point, I don't think you could tell me that having a guy from Rochester, probably a young guy, sit in the press box makes more sense than just rolling with 3 goalies after the game that Colton Ellis had. I do find it like a little strange that they called up UPL so soon. I thought they give him more time in the AHL. I mean, at least through this weekend with the back-to-back. So I kind of wanted to see Colton Ellis get a start against the Leafs. So I have no idea how they're going to manage this. I mean, maybe it'll sort itself out with how the guys play. But yeah, it's like going to be literally impossible for Colton Ellis to get any starts if the plan is for UPL to come back and play this weekend. I mean, we'll see if that's the plan, but can't really rotate in 3 goalies. So but it's better than losing them for nothing. So yeah, it's going to be a tough situation that the Sabres put themselves in.
If there's a season that you're going to have to rotate 3, it's going to be one where it's more condensed because there's an Olympics in February. So, like, if there's going to be a season, maybe it's this one just because it is a little bit more of a condensed schedule. And even then, it's like 2 goalies should be able to manage that workload
Yeah.
regardless. So it's a tough situation. Who's going to, like they did with Craig Anderson, make him sit for like a month and a half and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
go play the Ottawa Senators on a Wednesday in January or something like that. And he was like, I haven't played since December, since before Christmas. So that's another
Yeah.
thing to keep an eye on. But we'll keep it rolling with some other positive things that came out of the Detroit Red Wings game. We'll go with Jack Quinn first, and then there's another one that's a little more fun. But Jack Quinn, that felt like a coming out party, but he even admitted after the game is kind of up and down. He's streaky. And man, I love Jack Quinn when he's on his game. And obviously we saw that against Detroit. And I wish that Jack Quinn was more consistent. What did you see that was a little bit different last night than you saw from previous games where he was more just a shadow of himself?
Well, I do think he got like the correct bounces that game, and it just seemed like we've seen him try to pull off these moves and stuff, but it just hasn't seemed to be working for him. And then he kind of gets to that point where he's unnoticeable for most of the game. But this game, I mean, he made the skill moves, they worked, and he had the shots, they went in. So I think that's really the main difference for him. Honestly, is just things bouncing in the right direction. I still think he's, you could still tell he still has that same hockey IQ. It's just, I think the thing is, if his feet's still there, I mean, his feet looked like they were there last night. It was good enough to, have some nice offensive plays. And
Mhm.
it's nice to see him finally capitalize on a 2-on-1 after him and Zucker didn't score in a 2-on-1 the game before that Detroit game. So, uh, I'll take it. They're going to need guys like him to step up if they want to seriously have a chance of making it to the playoffs. So, if this is a sign of things to come, that would be awesome for him.
Well, that's the plan with the Sabres too. Obviously, it's for Quinn to have a good season and kind of make up some of the offense that they lost and hopefully not be a detriment on the defensive end. So, look, it's one good game, but it was one good game and his play helped them win that game. So, good on Jack Quinn. Hopefully that sticks around more because yeah, I've been really down on him unfortunately, but you can see when he plays well, it's exciting. He's getting to the middle. He's kind of I've always talked about if you're a longtime listener, him kind of throwing his body into a shot. Hopefully that is more of that and less of the getting bounced off the puck or kind of having, bricks for hands or something like that. Just keep plugging away and hopefully some more consistency like we saw last night um, comes for Jack Quinn. Now the fun part, Tyson Koshaq. That was which pretty much after he got called Tyler Kozak, which actually, frankly, I've done before too because I was so used to calling Tyler
Oh,
Bozak.
did they actually
So
call him that on the broadcast?
yeah, so pretty much right before the Shaq thing, I believe, is when Liam McHugh just said Tyler instead of Tyson, which happens, not great, but it
Yeah.
happens. And then you get Shaq coming in there and he's like, no, no, Tyson Koshaq. I thought that was so funny. I think I was sitting there maybe like eating a little bit of something and I nearly spit it out. Um, wasn't expecting Shaq, wasn't expecting him to make a Sabres reference, especially someone like Tyson Kozak. So that was really cool. But I mean, if you want to talk about that, go ahead. But what did you see in Tyson Kozak's game? Not just last night, but this season. That's like this guy is an everyday NHL player.
Well, yeah, I think we were talking about on the live stream in the game against Montreal on Monday, where like this guy's had so many opportunities in that front to score a goal.
Yeah.
And he finally did end up capitalizing. So I, I think he's just like your ideal fourth liner. And I think the huge part about having guys like him is that, especially with this Sabres front office, is they don't have to, do dumb stuff and trade like a second round pick for a fourth liner. Like we have the guys in house, like we have food at home, so you don't really have to worry about them wasting picks like that. Like he's just everything you want a fourth liner. We've heard that from like the development staff with like the Amherst and
Yep.
Sabres, for the past like probably 3 or so years now, just praising Kozak. And he even played the, kind of early for a guy that was a late round pick in the
Yeah.
AHL. Like usually he would have been sent back to the WHL in that season, but they decided
Mhm.
to keep him up. And so, yeah, I mean, you could tell from the start that they've had expectations for this guy. And, he looks like a great fourth liner. I love seeing
Mhm.
him on a fourth line without Geertsen, too, because I feel like that one game against Montreal and you throw Geertsen out there, like he's technically not a full time player.
Yeah.
So then, like, whoever's on that fourth line just gets mixed and matched with a bunch of other lines. So it's nice to see him last game. I mean, he even moved up and down the lineup last game as well, but it's nice to see him, kind of have a solidified role in that game against the Red Wings.
Well, since look, it's not the most flashy thing to talk about, but since the Sabres seem to have a big desire to get this right over the past few seasons, what is your ideal fourth line for the Sabres? And that's with players that are injured or not in Rochester or with Buffalo. What is your ideal fourth line? I was going to say mine, but let's hear what you have to say first.
I'd say, I mean, once Greenway comes back, I mean, it's tough with all the injuries, but like once Greenway comes back, they're relatively healthy. Like I think like something like Greenway, Kozak, Malenstein,
Mhm.
because at least Greenway, I mean, you can't really tell from his box score stats because his offense and that is terrible. But I mean, we have seen him be able to make some offensive plays, and maybe it's enough. I obviously with your fourth line, you're not expecting too much offense,
Mhm.
but I do feel like there are times, like even last night's game, where they had chances, but then you're like, oh wait, this is the fourth line out there; they're not going to score. So it would be nice to have like kind of another like jackknife, Swiss Army knife type of player in that Sabres lineup who can be like a Koshaq, where he's pretty gritty and physical, but he could also score at times or create offense as well. So yeah, I mean with the current personnel though, I think you'd have to go like Malenstein, Koshaq, and like someone like Greenway.
Gotcha. Yeah, the one thing I would do is change Malenstein with Danforth. Danforth can't be anything more than a fourth line player for me. I'm just looking at his expected goals for percentage, and I mean it's horrific. And that's
Yeah, I
five
mean,
on five. He's only played like 35 minutes, but it's really bad.
I think when he comes back, I think he's like a press box guy for me. Like I don't think he's, but this team's relatively healthy. I don't think he's an every night player. And then I mean, even too, if like Oslin impresses
Yeah.
and is able to stay up, like that's one less role for a guy like Danforth. So yeah, I think for him, I mean, I don't want to say he's going to be like the Tyson Jost Hinostroza guy in an NHL contract playing on the Amerks, but if like some of these younger guys like Oslin are able to grab onto this opportunity, and guys
Yeah.
like Koshaq continue to impress on the fourth line, and Geertsen obviously has a huge place in Lindy's heart. It's not crazy to think that there'll be someone who started the season on the NHL squad end up on waivers with Rochester.
Fair enough. Hopefully, it's not Colton Ellis, at least at this point. But
Yeah,
uh,
hopefully not.
yeah, let's kind of use that to piggyback off. What did you see from Ostlund? Because I saw him live. Then we saw him. I saw him live in Rochester a few weeks ago, and then we saw him obviously playing last night. And not only what did you see from him, but what does he need to do for you to stick in the lineup and play in the, I guess, the top nine? What was he on the third line last night? I think things got kind of scrambled once Zucker went down too. So,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, he was
yeah,
essentially their 12th forward last night, too, by like ice time, I think. So,
I'll check that. But what do you think he needs to do to stick around? Like they talked about him playing last season and like he was only focused on the defensive end and he was fine, but we need a little bit more offense from him. Like, what do you think he needs to do? And not just what for like you, if you were the coach or general manager to keep him on the roster or in the lineup, but what do you think the Sabres are looking for from Ostland to keep him on the lineup?
I'd say for him, I think hit the weights, just get more physical. I mean, he does have that kind of dog mentality in him, but I mean, maybe not as much as a guy like Doan or Benson. But yeah, I think just hit the
Yeah.
weights. He's a really intelligent player. I don't think he's a top six offensive guy. So if he could really be that, middle six punch that this team loves and has really helped them so far, I think that'd be a perfect role for him because he has the IQ to be like a Doan Benson type player, and he is willing to go into the dirty areas sometimes. Like he's a guy who, even last night leading up to one of their goals, like he made a really smart play where he just like bounced the puck off the boards in his own end to create like a zone exit. Like just stuff like that is huge. I just think he has to be like a little bit bigger, like long term for his role at the NHL level. Like it's not really a height thing. Like
Yeah.
we've seen it with a lot of these guys in the NHL. It's not a height thing. It's really just that mass thing. So I think if he's able to build up more mass, I think that would really help him, just in terms of staying healthy at the pro level and also just his longevity as an NHL player. Because he's too smart to be a
Yeah.
guy that's skill or bust. Like, I think he's smart enough where he can easily carve out an NHL role. I just think it needs to be like that dog IQ type role for him to succeed.
I've said it once, I'll say it again with Osland. You can see him thinking out there, and it's not a seeing him thinking and trying to catch up to the play. You can see him processing, and it's kind of tough to explain, but I don't know. That's the feeling I got when I watched him, especially live. You can just kind of see him processing and maybe thinking a step ahead of other players on the ice. So I really hope it works out for him. Like you said, he probably does need a little bit more mass, especially if you're going to be going into the corner with a guy like I don't know, like Tom Wilson or something like that. I guess a little frightening.
Yeah.
But I did pull up the time on ice from last night, Sabres versus Red Wings, and this is in all situations. Yeah, Zach Metza played 9:25 and Ostlund played 9:58, and those are the two bottom guys, besides Zucker, who only played 8:28 before going out with an injury. And then, yeah, Peyton Krebs. Jack Quinn only played 11:40, which is
Yeah,
wild.
they've been
And
spreading out the minutes.
yeah, and guess who led the team on ice is Connor Timmins. Which I guess
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's
talked about him a little bit. We'll just touch on it again. I think not only is he playing well, but it seems like he's helping just the D-core in general and specifically Samuelson, but he's way better than Connor Clifton. And I like Connor Clifton. He was a good
oh
guy, but it
yeah.
just never worked out. And that is quite the upgrade. And I think we do need to recognize that. And, a little golf clap for Kevin Adams for making that move. Look,
Well, I mean, is
maybe
the
a little bit
analytics
too late or
department
something.
like finally having a say? Like that's kind of how
Yeah.
I view things because I think it was Joe Marino who brought it up either yesterday or today, where he's like, a lot of their pickups for guys don't have like a clear and obvious connection to like someone on the coaching staff or whatnot have
Yeah.
been like their best pickups. So,
Well, Josh Stone for sure. We saw that.
yeah,
Like his numbers from last year were ridiculous. He just couldn't put the puck in the net.
yeah, because that's the thing. Like these guys, like the Dolans, like the Kesserings, like the Connor Timmins that don't really have a clear connection to anyone on the coaching staff have been the best pickups. Like the worst
Yeah.
ones, I mean, I guess Norris, like, who knows what he'll end up being for the Sabres, but he
Yeah.
hasn't exactly been the greatest addition so far. That's a guy that was purely like a coaching staff addition. Greenway was a coaching staff addition.
Mallenstein was.
Mallenstein, yeah,
Yeah.
coaching staff edition. Like
That one was
it's
wild.
like just let the analytics department cook. Like these are I still feel I talk about how NHL teams are smarter like all the time, but there are moments where you see like some of these guys who even with the public data we have, like just look up like a RPM chart and like, oh wow, this guy's pretty good and they're giving him fourth line minutes. We should maybe go after him. Like if you just think like that, you would have made a ton of successful depth pickups throughout your course of history as an NHL GM. Like, sure, there may be some misses, but look at guys like Carter Verhaeghe with Florida. Like, he's a guy who had crazy good like public data analytics before he got picked up by Florida, and just stuff like that. So I think Josh Doan, I think it's the same type of thing. Like, he had great numbers in driving both offense and defense. He was just given like a fourth line role on Utah. And we talked about it all offseason. Like he's a guy who I think can really scale up his game to play a top six role. And I think we've seen that so far. And, that's just kind of the exciting thing with this team is that there are guys who, have a ceiling that's a little bit higher than we thought this offseason. So that kind of makes you kind of reassess really just how high the Sabres team could go, like both this season and in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is something to at least admit for myself. I can't speak for you, but I kind of underestimated Josh Stone's ability a little bit. It was before, maybe I saw the analytics, but just assumed I'm like, look, I'm just tired of, getting like a third or fourth line guy and really trying to shove him up into the top six and being like, well, we'll work here because of this,
Yeah.
this, or this. And it usually doesn't. But this one seems like it is. And it's like, you know what? Trade's looking better. And we
Yeah,
haven't
he
even
had
seen the
so many
Michael
red
Kessler ring yet.
flags. That's the other thing, Dylan. Like, even like his profile as a prospect, like he was like playing on a loaded Chicago Steel team, and he was on the older end, so it
Yeah.
was clear like why he produced there. And then he went way higher than anyone thought he would at the draft, and he got picked by a team his dad worked for and played on forever. Then he went to like a not so great college hockey program at the time in Arizona State. So it's like there were a ton of red flags. There was just like, maybe this guy's not good at all. And it's crazy that, well, he did have those great underlying numbers. So I think, this offseason I was kind of battling with that too. But now it's like, oh, wow, he really is.
Yeah.
He really is a player.
Yeah, it really is. And speaking of guys that can really be players, and at least from the limited stuff I saw, I'm excited to see Michael Kesselring. It sounds like he might
Yeah.
start practicing this weekend. I'm just really hoping that they don't rush him back. So when we have him for a while. Look, injuries are going to happen, but I don't want it to be like, yeah, we rushed him back and he played
The
like
middle
2 periods
stat.
of this game. So
Like, remember Millsap? They're like, "Oh, this injury is all cleared up. He's fine to go." And then he plays, and then he like gets the same injury.
It
and
was
is
like
out for
that.
even longer.
I remember when they did that with Alex Nylander. Remember that? They're
Oh
like, he's
yeah,
fine. Yeah, he's day to day. And next thing you know, he was out for like 3.5 months. And we're like,
yeah,
whiff, major
yeah.
whiff. Like, oh man, I pray for days like those, way early drought stuff.
Yeah.
That was wild at the time for sure. And luckily they've kind of cleaned that up. So hopefully, Kesselring comes back, and really interested to see who he plays with. You would assume Power, but I don't know. Timmins can play really well too. Maybe they ease Kesselring in and put him on the third pairing and then go from there. So yeah, Kesselring, just the way, if Samuelson plays better, stays healthy, and he's more physical and not making bad errors, him and Kesselring on a third pairing, you're like, whoa, okay, not bad.
Yeah, no. I mean, now the thing is too, like you can play Kessler on the third pairing, and you don't even have to like
Worry.
worry about like showing up for that Paterka trade because with how well Josh Doan's been playing, like Kessler
Yep.
literally could be a third pair defenseman for you, and it could
Yeah.
still be like an even trade or even a better trade for the Sabres.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's with all trades, the McLeod Mitch Savoy one, the Paterka one, I guess the Cousins one as well. You still need time, especially with those kind of
Yeah.
player trades. You need
I mean,
time.
Paterka's been so good too for
Yeah,
Utah. I feel like it's
yeah,
overlooked with his like point totals because they haven't been
yep.
like too impressive. But like, I mean, I don't want to bring it up, but like defensively, he's been like pretty incredible. So it makes you kind of think about his season last year in Buffalo, where it's like this guy has it in him to play good
Yeah, he sure
defense.
did.
Like he's
Yeah.
not like up here and with his mind, he's not a defensive liability. So that's
Mhm.
why last season was kind of so tricky, where it's like, maybe like, Kevin Adams repeats a lot. Like we want guys who want to be here. I think with Paterka, that's a situation where maybe it made a little bit of sense. Like even if you lost that trade, I think it even would have made a little bit of sense to try to get something else out of that.
I mean, basically the, kind of like the word around town is he wasn't exactly sorry to leave. Wasn't really like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I really enjoyed my time in Buffalo. All the best to you guys. It was more like a good luck without me kind of thing. Let's just
Yeah.
leave
Well, I
it at
mean
that.
that's his vibe though. I like he
Yeah.
like compared to other savers, like he kind of forced his way out of here. Like it wasn't really like I mean, I don't even know who to compare it to because we really haven't had someone like in his situation where after an entry level contract be like, yeah, I'm not signing here. Like that's kind of the first of the drought.
Yeah, I can think of, you have the Eichel situation. That was clear. The Sam Reinhart thing is like, you guys had 2 opportunities to sign me long term. I wanted to, and you didn't. So
Yeah, like
bye.
those were well after their ELC. Like this one
Yeah.
happened like right after his rookie contract. Like we haven't like that's a new
Oof.
thing for the drought.
It's definitely adds to the lore. Hopefully that's not the kind of the way it goes, not only for the Sabres, but for, future clubs as well. I mean, you just draft the guy, play him a couple of years, and they already wants out. It's like, holy crap, understood. With the Sabres, we do have an understanding of, look, I can kind of understand why a player would want to play here, but right after your ELC, maybe sign like a year or 2 contract and be like, look,
Yeah.
guys, gotta work it out. But maybe it works out for everyone. It sounds like the Sabres were really keen on getting Josh Doan in the deal. And it's like, look, if you don't want to add him, that's fine. Call us when you do. It's like, okay, cool. All right. There you go, Kevin. Give you some props there. That's great. I mean, like, again, it's like we've said a million times, it's a culmination of all of these seasons. Like, if you have one good offseason, that's great. The last few were horrific. So it
Yeah.
doesn't really make up for it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to keep going on like the whole Paterka situation leaving and the guys that have come here. So they're here. Doan's playing well. Hopefully Kesselring can come back and play well as well. It was not great to hear that the injury that he suffered was something that was also nagging him during training camp. It's like, when did this happen? Like during off ice workouts or something like that. That part kind of sucks, but you know what? Sabres are doing well. They have a chance to get back to 500, and they're chasing the Maple Leafs that are right in front of them. Sabres have 6 points with 3 wins, and the Maple Leafs also have 3 wins, but they also have an overtime loss, so they have 7 points. If you have a good weekend against them, you can leapfrog them. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on with the Sabres season, especially after just a horrific start. It was a really, really bad start with those 3
Yeah.
games.
That was a
It's not like,
terrible start.
oh, nail biter, you lost those. It was like this team, I don't even want to say it looks like a shell of themselves because we didn't know what to expect. It was a pretty much worst case scenario to start the season. So is
No,
there
it
something?
physically hurt to watch. I mean, imagine spending
Yeah.
$80 like I did to watch them play the Bruins, and it's just like they don't show up, and it's like, oh man, what a like I need they need to pay me money to to go to that game.
Well, now and it seems, especially with it seems like the crowds are having a good time.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe
now
last night's
it's
game wasn't as fun. It was a little, but the second period was good. A lot of goals,
I
and the
think
third period was
15,000
fun.
people too, so I mean,
Yeah,
not terrible.
yeah, let's go. I mean, it's not exactly nice outside, but it's still not I almost said horrific for like the sixth time
Yeah.
this episode, but it's not really bad out yet, so that probably helps a little bit too.
I mean, you did
Um,
have a lot of Red Wings fans there, like,
yeah,
because
happens
and
all
that
the
was
time.
it. Yeah, that's like I feel like Canada, like especially Southern Ontario, has a bunch of fans of, like every single original six team somehow.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
you also had the people that hopped on the bandwagon like during like the
Mhm.
'90s
The
and
Lindstrom era.
2000s.
It's
So
hard not
yeah,
to, man. I really liked watching
yeah.
that team too. I don't blame them. Same thing with Blackhawks games. I remember going to Sabres games when the Blackhawks were in town and littered with people, and I'm like, "This is
Oh
all because
yeah.
of Tate, Kane, and Keith and
Even
Seabrook."
Southern Ontario too. Like my dad's cousin from Hamilton, Ontario, and even St. Catharines too. St. Catharines actually has like a huge like they have like a ton of ties to Chicago Blackhawks. Weirdly, because I believe their
Hmm,
training camp used to be there. Like a lot of NHL teams
really?
used to host their training camps in Ontario. So I'm pretty sure
Interesting.
Blackhawks had theirs in St. Catharines, and Stan Mikita too. He also grew up in St. Catharines. He actually, my grandpa actually coached him in baseball. Funnily enough,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
way back
I
then.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. It's like going to Fisher. We should send the Sabres out to Oswego. SUNY
Yeah, no,
Oswego. There's your training camp,
the
boys.
NHL needs to do that again. Like, imagine there's so many cool like hockey heritage locations where you could have
Yeah,
a training camp, like Lake Placid,
that'd
even
be
like
sweet. Yeah, Lake
they got to
Placid,
do
yeah.
that. They got to bring that back.
I'm trying to think of some other places maybe they could go. Mm,
There's
oh,
so
well,
many cool
Binghamton has
towns
their
in
own
like
team, yeah.
Quebec too, where it's like if you're just in like this like all these like small junior towns in Canada all have a rink, and some of them are in cool locations too. Like if you're like an Alberta team, you go to like Banff or something like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to look at the, kind of map. I mean, maybe doing something in like Niagara Falls or St. Catharines for the Sabres,
Yeah.
maybe like Hamilton or even Brantford if you wanted to get out there. Um, could be a cool place if the Sabres wanted to do that, but who knows?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, for the Sabres too. Like, I mean, I know most of the NHL doesn't have to mark themselves to Canada, but for the Sabres to try to win over, some of those fans in like Fort Erie or St. Catharines, like to do
exactly.
some stuff up there every once in a while would be pretty cool. Like we see the Bills do stuff with Toronto all the time
Yeah.
now. So why can't Sabres try to win like that Fort Erie St. Catharines market?
Yeah, I mean, taking a home game away from the Bills just to throw it up into Toronto, I mean, wouldn't be too bad. I mean, I don't know. Especially if you're close enough, maybe the boys can just go over the border each day or something like that, and you guys won't have to buy out hotels and stuff like that. It is also you have especially for younger prospects or guys that are going to be in Rochester, but you want to have them here for training camp. You have the Marriott right there, and you have the Harbor Center. Like I get it, you have that stuff. Why go elsewhere? So that also makes sense. We've been derailed quite a bit. Now we're talking about preseason camps going away. So
Well,
is
yeah,
there
I mean,
anything?
I think we're brainstorming good ideas here.
Yeah.
I think Sabres, even a Wednesday practice, have a Wednesday practice in Fort Erie and try to get people in the community there to come out and watch.
Yeah. What Maple Leafs do something like that, right? They like hop on the train
Yeah,
and go
they do that
practice out
outdoor
there.
practice. That's
Yeah.
always so cool. I'm always so jealous of them. Like, I'm like, that'd be so cool if they did that. I mean, you got the rink in East Aurora. The Sabres should go out there and have a practice one winter.
Yeah. There is even what they should do? I'm trying to think of it. What is it called? Should set up a rink on what is it, Unity Island? That little
Oh,
the little island
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Niagara River right off Buffalo. Have a
Have the
little
Winter
outdoor practice
Classic
there.
there.
Yeah. That'll be hilarious. I don't know if I've actually been there, but whatever. I mean, they played a game on Lake Tahoe, so I think you might be able to do one on the Niagara
Yeah.
River or something. That'd be fun. Look, this is good. This is what we needed. It's what the boys needed. Or do one. What Should try to do one on Goat Island. It's the one that's right by the falls. Have the falls in the background. That'd be
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know if that would work out all that well, but
I feel like one of like
be a
those
lot of fun.
AI generated like winter classic rinks where it's like they're playing in like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. I remember I saw some like AI thing of like basically I think it was football though. And it was like
Oh
for the
yeah, I thought like the
Buccaneers, it was like made out
stadiums.
of ship and stuff like that. For the Bills, it was like it looked like a prairie and you had like massive buffaloes and stuff. I thought that I don't know. Look, AI is pretty scary, but I thought that stuff was pretty cool. So if we want to
Sabres
maybe just
can't
keep it at
even.
that.
Yeah, they can't even change like the signage, so I doubt they'll do anything cool in the arena.
Yeah, you guys should play near Niagara Falls. I mean, you guys can't even change the signage around there to not
Just
tick
make it
off water.
generic. If they made it generic, like just like made it like just like black signage with white numbers, then you wouldn't have to worry about like changing it
Turn it into
during different
bandit
rebrands.
signage. Like
Yeah,
bandits are the
honestly.
ones they're
Yeah.
going for the back to back to back to back. I almost messed that up, so I had to count on my fingers
The
there.
the new CBA though, they'd have moved some guys, so it's
Did they? I
looking a
saw
little
something about
scary.
that.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to read it though. I saw they signed a few guys today. I just don't know what's going on, but I mean, we've been pretty blessed with the back to back to back. So,
Yeah.
if it has to go elsewhere, at least we've tasted success. So, yeah, Sabres schedule coming up. Obviously, back to back with Toronto. Really would like for them to again just get 3 out of 4 points in pretty much every 2-game stand that you got there. But if you can win a game and lose a game, fine. I'd like for them to get to 500 by the weekend. So if they can win Friday, that'd be great. Then they have the Blue Jackets on Tuesday and the Bruins on Thursday. At some point next week, we'll be recording again to kind of recap some stuff, probably after the Blue Jackets game. I think this is a big stretch because then you get the Capitals. Then they start to, they're getting out of the Eastern Conference, and not next week, but the week following is when you get your Utah, St. Louis, play Utah again. They go out to Colorado. There's a game against the Hurricanes squeezed in there as well, and Detroit as well. But then Colorado. It's really funny. They go from Colorado to Detroit, and then they have a homestand against some people? I'm reading this poorly, but basically they're getting away from the divisional play is what I'm trying to say. I would like for them to finish really strong, especially not get a win against Toronto of the 2 games, but definitely that Blue Jackets game on a Tuesday. Those are like those trap games that the Sabres always they
Yeah.
lose like 6-1 to Blue Jackets. And you're like,
Those are either
gotta get
incredible
booed
or
at home.
so depressing. Like it's either
Yeah.
Tage scores like 9 goals or the
Yeah,
Sabres
yeah.
lose like 7-1.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping for by the end of next week, and especially with the Bruins there and trying to get a win against them after losing earlier this season. I'd like for them to at least be 500 by the end of next week. Do you have any kind of are you starting to look at like you need to win 2 out of 3 games, 3 out of 4 games, 3 out of 5 games? Are you starting to look at that? Just kind of like your mindset as a fan of how you're viewing this.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, it's like game like every game matters in seasons where it's going to be this tight. So it's like they already lost a good amount of ground just blowing those 3 games early on. So yeah, like I feel like early on, I think it's kind of fair to expect them to try to like win 2 out of 3 because I think that's kind of what they need to get back on pace here to get above 500. Because it would be nice to be like working on this season, like 2, 3 games above 500, like throughout the season, like at
Yeah.
least in the beginning. Like it sucks having to, fight and claw back just to get to 500 and then be pushed back down like 2 games below 500 and then, pray for a 10-game win streak. So yeah, I think it's important. Like this weekend, you got to win at least one against Toronto, and that's really not a great team. You should win it. I mean, you could win 2. Like this isn't Toronto from 2 years ago. Like this is a team that's playing like
Less
guys you
firepower.
maybe never heard of in their top 6. So
Well,
like
and
just
yeah, I mean, like it's the biggest Toronto podcast, but you even listen to like the Steve Dangle podcast. They're like, we're okay if we're worse this season, if that means like for the longevity of this team. Well, Sabres, if they're going to be worse this season, take
yeah.
advantage of it. So
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Toronto. Like, yeah, you look in their comments, and like I think they moved the game time for like the World Series game. So
yeah,
all the comments are like, yeah, we won't be watching the Leafs game like anyway. So like that's kind of like the status of their fan base right now.
Yeah, 5 p.m. on Saturday. So 2 games in less than 24 hours. You're definitely going to you're not going to be rolling line back and forth unless he has a really easy night on Friday. So probably going to see Colton Ellis again. What do you think of 92 as a goalie number, by the way? Episode 92 of the Sabremetrix podcast. What do you think of 92 as a goalie number? I was like, I love that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like a nice 95 or something like that on a goaltender. It's like, you're a weirdo. I like that.
no, yeah, it looked pretty cool. Like I
I
really
like
want
it.
to see. I want to see his goat head set up too. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that 92 in the goat head, if he had cool gear as well, like that could be
Yeah.
an all time look. I feel like if
I
he
like
pulled
that.
out a cool look there, I think they'd have to trade UPL at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's half of it's just looking good out there. And,
Yeah,
um, yeah, like I've started to see people be like, let's trade UPL to, was it Edmonton or something like that? And I saw maybe a
I
comment or two. I
think
haven't
like
been on social media
Stuart
much.
Skinner. Like I just don't think that guy's worse than UPL.
I'd say they're probably on even ground, right?
Yeah, like I wouldn't like if I'm an Edmonton fan, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's go all in for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Like I'd be waiting for a bigger name to come out there to
I
go
mean, I
all
don't
in
want the
on.
Sabres to do that, let alone any like another team. I
Yeah,
don't
I mean
really
that's
care
the
what the
thing with
Oilers do, but
Edmonton. Like their prospect pool is not that great. Their
it's the
depth,
goal.
like every night, it's just. Oh, I mean, Hyman's hurt, but it's literally just like
Yeah,
McDavid and Draisaitl, like Nugent Hopkins, and then like whoever they could fill in the rest of the lineup. Like they played like Trent Frederick on the top line to start the season. They're playing Pod Colson on the top line, like
yeah,
in recent games. So it's like, yeah, that's not a team that has like that fun depth you could pick from. I mean, we already got their fun depth guy in Ryan McLeod, so
yeah. Who's
I don't
kind of
know who else is
struggled.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's had
let's
a
maybe
weird
be
season.
yeah, let's be maybe a little negative. It's been a lot of fun, Team's still below 500, but played a really good game against Detroit, and I'm always going to be happy when the Sabres are, playing good games and winning, especially when they, aren't out of the playoffs or something like that. So let's talk about maybe the not so fun part. Ryan McLeod seemed to really struggle. Yuri Kulik is still, yeah, it was better, but still struggling too. Bo Byram, it seems like there's a little bit more to be desired there. Darlene's playing well, but it feels like there's a little bit more for him to give too. Tage, same way. Tuck, same way. What's we can talk about Doan and Benson. Of course, we haven't even talked about Benson, but we could make an entire episode just doing that. But what about the guys that are struggling? Do you see maybe is there one of them maybe you could see this lasting longer? Do you think one's going to snap out of it quicker? Just from maybe that group of guys, is there anyone that really stands out either way?
I think McLeod, I think the difference is just going to be scoring goals for him. Like he shot a really high percentage last year, and I think this season, I mean, he's been on ice for like just a lot for and against, and maybe he's maybe made a few plays where it's like I don't really know what he's doing there, but overall, I think he's been fine. I think more of the issue lies with, yeah, I think like Tage and Darlene, like they haven't had great starts to this season. And I think a lot of people expected those to be your main two guys. But it was like weirdly enough, that could be a good thing for the Sabres team. Like the fact that those two haven't really gone off yet and they're still
Mhm,
finding ways to win games. They're still finding ways to, play good games too. Like they're not just winning these games. Like they played pretty well against the Red Wings. I mean, they
mhm,
played a competitive game against the Canadians. Like we're seeing the hockey we want to see from them. And it's with guys not named Tage Thompson or Rasmus Dahlin. So I think that part's cool to see. And, we have so much sample size with those two to go off of where it's difficult to really be concerned long
yeah,
term with how they'll play this season. Like I think they'll bounce back. And I think that's why I'm most excited is because when those guys bounce back, I mean they'll already be a part of a team that seems to have already found their rhythm. So
mhm.
I think that's more of an, kind of a reason for excitement, at least for me.
I think, yeah, it was a little negative there and, 40 minutes in, let's, kind of close it up here. But just imagine you have Thompson and Tuck really finding their stride. Darlene and Byram maybe as well too. You get Kesselring back. Greenway comes back because I personally believe when Greenway's healthy, we saw it last year. He was physical. He was making plays.
He's
He
a
was
good
pretty good.
PKer too. I feel
Yeah,
like that's like his most valuable ability is his PK ability.
Yeah, and so just imagine all of those things kinda coming into sync and the depth guys, Benson, Doan, and Quinn's still playing well, or look, again, it was just one game, but he's playing better or whatever. Zucker comes back from injury, hopefully it's nothing too bad, and then maybe, adding Norris into that after, and hopefully you would be able to stay healthy and maybe hopefully in more of like a reduced role so he isn't, aren't just throwing him out there on the first line or something to begin with. Like there is a cause for excitement. And I think there's a more than likely chance that once those things, the injuries get cleared up and your best players are playing like your best players, there is really something to be excited for with Buffalo.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it'd be so nice to have Norris back. I just keep looking at these forward lines and I'm like, man, really wish like Norris was here. Like having
yeah,
someone like him and be able to push everyone down a extra spot in that lineup would be so nice.
yeah,
But hopefully that injury is like not crazy long term. Like I think we've learned kind of with this team and
yeah,
even with Josh Norris, like the timelines may not always be right, like when they initially come out. Because last season, like how long was he day to day for?
yep.
End up
No,
missing like the entire remainder of the season because the guy's day to day for like 4 weeks.
yeah. I
So
mean, I did say earlier in this episode that they have gotten better about that since like the whole Alex Nylander thing. But yeah, that's a good example of not great boys. So
yeah,
yeah, it would be great to have him. I do apologize. I got a phone call when I was trying to finish my thought there and it totally distracted me. So it might not have been the smoothest delivery, but yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about, especially if, a guy like Norris can come back and be healthy and produce. That'd be great, man. Like it's again, he has to like live with that injury, and that really sucks. Just like a normal
yeah.
day-to-day thing, let alone trying to play hockey at the highest level. So, you feel bad for him, but I also feel bad for the Sabres because it's like they were banking on this guy and he didn't even last the entire game. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'd deal with an injury if I was making like 8 million a year. I could probably deal with it, maybe.
that's the thing though, is like if you're going to play through an injury, hockey players play through injuries. I'm like, yeah, but if you're a detriment to the team, don't play. Like if you
Yeah.
can't produce and you're playing and someone else can take your spot and do just as well, if not better, then like it's almost selfish to play in that
Well,
sense.
we
Like make
saw
sure you're
that
healthy.
like the Four Nations, I think that changing it, for example, Kachuk decides to go, clearly
Yeah.
not ready to play, and
Mhm.
ends up having
Exactly.
to sit out the rest of the game. Like that's a good example of
That's what I
like,
was thinking of. It's like you couldn't
yeah,
have had who was it, Kyle Connor and Tage Thompson were the 2 scratches, like,
yeah.
really? Those guys couldn't have done better than what you did out there? It's just like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Um, yeah, I really hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case with, like, a Kesselring or anything like that too, or anyone,
It
Greenway,
seems like they're giving
Zucker.
Kessler time though. Like
Good.
I know it was a pretty serious injury, at least in terms of being out like multiple weeks, but it
Mhm.
seems like they'll set it up like this thing well enough for him to ease in there. And I think Zach Metza too. He's been pretty good his first two
Yeah.
games. So
Yeah. It's
yeah, so
especially if you're a defenseman, if we really don't notice you all that much, 1, he's not getting a ton of ice time, and 2, if we don't notice you all that much, it means you're not making any glaring errors. Perfect. Just keep
yeah.
doing that. Just keep doing
And
that.
I think
So,
he's got like nearly a 60 expected goals for percentage. I mean, he's only played like around like 19 minutes at 5-on-5, but that's good. Like he's not getting caved in out there. He's actually, on the positive end of things.
yeah, let's see here. 4, 5 on 5 on ice. Expected goals percentage. Where is Zach Metza? He is 66.6. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
mean
hold on a second. Excuse
I've been
me.
evolving hockey right now. He's at 59.2 and score and venue adjusted. So yeah,
I gave you the wrong thing there. He is 59.44 expected goals for
yeah, so like
percentage.
right
So
around
essentially
there. I
60.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly
mean
where
only 18 minutes, but it's like
Mhm.
that's good because I mean we're so used to our depth defensemen getting absolutely obliterated every
Yeah.
time they're out there. So I feel like we
Yeah.
have PTSD from like the Clifton
Yep.
Eric Johnson pair, even going way back to Mazzaros,
Oh,
like any
God.
pair of Mazzaros on it. And
Ugh, no
who was the
thanks.
other guy on that? Oh man, I forget, a French
I remember
Canadian
when
guy.
Scandella got fixed by Yoki Haru or whatever, and you're just like, "What?" Like, he was one of those guys,
Oh,
and then, like,
yeah, that
Yoki
pair
Haru
was
was, like,
so
the
good.
catalyst for him. Yeah, I was like,
I remember,
"What
like,
are we
writing
doing?"
articles about that pair being like, "Wait, they may have found something here."
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, they certainly didn't. So, if there's anything else, that we haven't covered, speak now, but other than that, Walt, final word.
I just remember the French Canadian guy. I think it was Andre. Was it Andre Benoit?
Oh god. Was that actually yeah, I think that was that the
I
same
don't.
year?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Maybe.
sure he's paired with Mazzaros. It was
Oh,
so throwing that name back out there.
oh, I got the chills going down the back of my neck, so let's get the heck out of here before we start going into more drought lore, because I'll start naming random goalies like Alex Wilcox, and we'll be here all night. So, I saw something with Alex Wilcox earlier or something. He was like the one of a few goalies that only has, like, 1 win
Oh
in with the
yeah,
Sabres or, like, 1 win in the NHL,
Jason
one of the 2.
Castorf. Jason
Oh,
Castorf didn't get a win though.
no, he did not. No, he did
Gave up a
not.
lot of goals. I think that game he played.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I think Michael Hauser got a win on his first, like, NHL on his NHL
Oh
debut or
yeah, he had
something like
that
that.
like commemorative T-shirt they're selling in like the NHL shop.
Oh god, wild stuff. I'm surprised you don't have one.
Yeah,
You got
should
a
have
Sam
bought one.
Lafferty sweatshirt. Yeah, what are you
Yeah,
doing? So, yeah,
I
maybe you can
missed
send
out.
one. Well, for me, I will say go Sabres for the next few games. I took Walt's final word, so he's gotta come up with something different.
I think playoff watch is back on. I think Sabres are on the warpath right now.
Say, oh, I love to hear it. A lot of positivity. Feeling it. We're feeling it, folks. Hopefully, it's a good weekend for the Sabres, and we will catch you next week.